Welcome everyone to the third reporters chat. We're going to be going over a few things, just like a light sort of exploratory analysis of like the transaction history for the Oracle, mainly submit value transaction history, and just kind of what's going on at a very high level. Talk about a little bit some Flashbot stats, again at a high level. Going to hit you with a lot of visualizations, some death by graphs, basically. And then just talk about what's going on with Python's implementation of Tellor currently and what's planned for the future. So yeah, here's the first kind of PowerPoint send. I'm just going to hit you with a block of text. But so yeah, since the beginning of today, you know, there's been about 2,000 submit value transactions. So 2,000 times people are reporting to the Oracle. A lot of that is going to be ETH USD, mainly because there's a lot of sources for that information. And also the Python's version, it defaults to ETH USD. So people just kind of submit to that automatically. There's in the new release, there's an update to sync all of the reporters to hop to like the next supported data feed, so we get some more diversity in the reporting, basically. Next thing is successful transactions. That basically means that they went through, they weren't reverted or anything. And there's still a surprising amount of reverted transactions going through, which we'll check out later. And then there's a few transactions which did go through, and then unfortunately people didn't get any reward and lost money. So this is just a reminder that this is if you're running a reporter, it can be very competitive, as you'll continue to see here. This was kind of surprising for me because a lot of just like interacting with it without going to a high level, I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, all these other reporters must be making stacks. Like I'm not, you know, making anything. And then this was sort of surprising that like the total, this is a historical price of TRB ETH. So it's not like today's or anything, but all of those transactions comes out to about $35,000. There may be more people who are staked, but the actual people who have been able to submit, there's 65 unique addresses, and you know, some of those may be controlled by, you know, a fewer group of people. But yeah,
I mean, how much, back to that, how much of, if you chopped off the first 3 days, I bet you would cut that profit number in half.
Yeah.
So it's probably even less profitable than that by a significant margin.
Yeah, and I'll show like a week by week sort of breakdown, because the amazing thing too is like it seemed like longer for me at least, but yeah, it's only been up for like 6 weeks really, you know, since Tellor X.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, like I don't know if anyone just like wants to jump in and like any thoughts so far, or like any questions. Or
I just want to say real quick, that last slide was just great to give people some idea of expectations of, you know, if they think they're doing poorly, maybe they're not doing so poorly, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, for people like watching this in the future too, like this is just like a very kind of surface level. It's been pretty cool to see community members like, you know, digging into like, all right, you know, they're frustrated that they're getting beat by, you know, other people who are reporting, and then they do some like digging on the addresses and trying to figure out like, you know, the addresses that are, you know, controlling several of these reporters and whatnot. But if you want us to do more of that kind of thing, you know, basically just keep giving feedback on like feature requests and whatnot, because if it's not helpful for y'all, for us to like pursue like better, you know, reporting strategies and optimizations to like the current software, then we can support in different ways, like, you know, more analysis, that kind of thing. Yeah, so this is the number of submit value transactions per week. So like the first and the last one They're so much lower because they were just like shorter weeks, and I'm assuming the first week as well as people were still ironing things out and whatnot. And then I don't know, my suspicion too why the last week is kind of lower is because gas prices have been kind of wild.
Yeah, I feel like I would want this one daily and then versus gas price, because I bet it would be like completely correlated.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
so right now this is all just like in a PR in the monitors repository. So like a lot of the functions and stuff like that I use could be put in the monitor if we want, if it's like helpful at all.
Yeah, get Lauren on that.
Yeah, for the data, it's basically like there's probably a cleaner solution for this, but I just ended up scraping Etherscan because like
It's perfect. Duh.
I didn't want to like cross-reference like a Flashbot's like blocks data with Etherscan's block data, and they have like a little label that says like transactions are used for Flashbots anyway, and they already have like the historical TRB ETH prices and whatnot. So yeah, and here's like this is pretty cool. Again, that last week is shorter, like this is cut off as of like the beginning of today. But yeah, so around 40 people per week, or 40 different addresses are reporting consistently per week out of the 65 that have reported altogether. And so again, the first and the last week, you're getting those longer times between submissions, just because there's been less submissions. But it is pretty cool that I think I remember like Spuddy saying it used to be like a hour and a half or an hour. I might be misquoting you, but it's cool that it's like every 30 minutes and whatnot. And while like it can be frustrating if you're like trying to report for profit and you're constantly being beaten, it is nice for like the Tellor overall values, because it just means that people are making more hardcore robust software and it's more competitive. And yeah, so total profit. And again, this is like historical price data at the time. And so I don't know what this means in terms of trends and whatnot. But yeah, again,
This would probably map to both the TRB price and the gas price. How many people are staked? What do we got?
It's over 70. Like the last time Tim said was like 72.
Oh, we have like 40 people a week, right? So
yeah, 40 addresses reporting a week.
So that's like $120,000 worth of TRB is staked, and then you're getting say 6,000. So like, what's the APR on that? Like it's probably a semi-normal rate of return. Like I think that's what you would expect. Like if you look at it, like you're locking it up and running a program. If it was that simple, you would expect then it to sort of average with other risky based DeFi protocols, maybe a little bit more since you have to run something. But if you're getting 3% everywhere else, and eventually this should settle somewhere around probably 4 or 5% APR. So that's at least what I would expect. But you're seeing that. So
nice. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be cool to sort of do the same thing and apply some of this stuff to once things get going on Polygon and whatnot, especially since it's just going to be like the service contracts to start and everything. But yeah. So yeah, of all the submitValue transactions, about 50% have been through the Flashbots relay. And people are still getting, I don't really know why. My suspicion is people are still getting transactions reverted because they're just either haven't updated things or they haven't successfully submitted with Flashbots. So they're just still trying with the older versions and whatnot, or I'm not really sure, but basically like you cannot get reversions with flashbots because the relay will reject your bundles that you're sending. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but basically this is like the percent of overall transactions that are going through the flashbots relay per week. So that's kind of cool.
We had flashbots transactions in the first week.
Crossy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I started
that's pretty
submitting
cool,
right
though.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were ready right away, and then
Yeah.
obviously going up.
Yeah, I don't know what I guess that first week it was just like a lot of probably trial and error is why it like went down. I don't know.
Something. Well, I think
Um,
also the second week you had a whole bunch of new people coming in. You know,
Oh
I think,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
people just running it. The same, yeah, new people coming in, their transactions reverted.
Yeah.
That's second.
Yeah, but it is interesting that it's kind of like consistent though. Why? It's like 15 to 20%, like people getting their transactions reverted. Anyway. Yeah.
Real quick, Owen, does that last slide, that's the percentage, is that the percentage of
Percentage of all
all
transactions.
transactions? So
Yeah.
pretty much that would be double for percentage of non-flashbot transactions. Is that right?
Yeah, or it's pretty close.
Wow. So
A lot.
40%. Yeah.
Yeah, right now, we are basically working on getting the reporter ready for Polygon. There's going to be testing for that. Yeah, just again, if there's things that are broken, things that y'all want, post in the reporters channel on Discord. The other things for like the future, just a reminder, there are a bunch of bounties, and one of those is building like a minimum viable product, like the minimum specs for Tellor in other languages. One community member did reach out to me. You know, he's building a lot of tools in another language. I sent him or her, whoever, the bounty for it. But yeah, I mean, the next one, obviously, that makes sense is JavaScript. But yeah, with Polygon, there'll just be like more opportunities for people to learn about the software, about Tellor. And then if you gain experience with Polygon, I'm sure there's probably some overlap with once we go to Algorand and whatnot. In terms of pools, I mean, people were asking about this like in the Discord, but it's basically like up to the community, right? If you want to, I don't know how that would work, but could do something cool where like the community essentially comes together about a service contract, and you know, I'm sure there's some like tool within the space for like verifying someone's like identity or something, you know, like if they're like a well-known community member, you could get it verified on chain through like some social media and whatnot, and then could be part of that service contract or something. But I don't know. And that's basically it.
Bravo.
Anyone?
That's really cool.
got
Lots of
anything
cool
else?
information there, Owen. Lots of cool info.
Glad you liked it.
Great memes.
I like those stats.
Yeah, so it looks like half the submissions are with flashbots. The other half, I guess half of those get reverted because they were front run, probably in a lot of cases. And maybe some other reasons too.
Yeah, and I think yeah, it's the that's why we have the reporters like syncing that change coming out.
That's right. Yep. And that is out, right?
Yeah, Yeah, just whenever. I mean, people can use it if they clone and use the main branch, but it's coming out in the next release. Anyone got anything else, or you want to call it?
No, so when's the next release coming out?
I'm early next week after Polygon. Mike, does that sound?
I think that's good. I mean, I think syncing the reporters is pretty helpful. I don't mind doing a release before before Polygon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then because I know there's probably a lot, we have to kind of update the documentation for Tellor, especially because a lot of it's changed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, maybe next time we can, in 2 weeks, you guys can give another walkthrough on running it again. So
Yeah, the docs are updated for running like the commands for the reporter and whatnot. That's like on the main page for Tellor feed examples if you want to check that out. But
Okay.
yeah, we can definitely do a walkthrough for different OSs because
Yeah, I didn't have any trouble installing the new version except for the way you order flags on the CLI is a little bit different. That's it.
gotcha.
cool. Well, super awesome stuff, Owen. We look forward to kind of getting this data up on the monitors and seeing how it evolves over time. I think it's going to be super cool. So, anything else? Questions? Comments? No? Cool. Thanks for coming, everyone.